If you've tried Duolingo and Babbel and Memrise and Rosetta Stone and all the different language apps more times than you can count and you still can't stick with your language learning, it's not because you're lazy or unmotivated, bad at languages, dumb, too busy, or any number of things that your brain is telling you. There's actually a very good reason why apps to learn a language aren't working for you, and it has nothing to do with you. So I hereby give you permission to let go of any guilt that you're experiencing about this. In this video, let's talk about this cycle of trying language apps, failing, and then coming to the conclusion that there's something wrong with you and what's really happening. So first, let's talk about the horrible cycle that I see so many language learners stuck in, as somebody who used to be stuck in this cycle myself. So the first part of the cycle is excitement and motivation. You're gonna learn a language. You found the perfect app, you found some club, you found something that really sparked a lot of energy and excitement for language learning. And you know for a fact that this is gonna work because you just feel it in your soul. And also, you're following all the right YouTubers, you're listening to all the right advice, and you swear this time you will absolutely learn a language, no questions asked. And this works for a little bit, so the next step of the cycle is consistency for a little bit. Maybe you keep up your daily streak. Maybe you are even brave enough to try and have some conversations. Maybe you're building up your vocabulary and you feel pretty decent. You feel like you're doing something. But then the next step of the cycle is that something just happens. And that something might be nothing. Sometimes this could be like if you're trying to have a conversation for the first time and it sucked and you were completely blindsided by how difficult it would be. That can be enough to take you out of your language learning excitement forever. Or maybe you just have a busy day and you can't get into your streak, so you lose your streak and therefore you lose all of your motivation. Or maybe you get sick and you literally just can't study that day, and then so you start this shame spiral. And this is the next step of that cycle. You promised to yourself, you swore to yourself that this time you would learn a language. There was nothing in your way except for you, so you think. But you have this horrible guilt about what you did wrong in your language learning and how you've given up again and there's something wrong with you. And you start comparing yourself to all these people on the internet who apparently learn languages so quickly, so easily, and you're just not seeing that progress. So now you're at a complete 180 from that initial first stage of excitement and motivation. You're a complete opposite where you feel terrible, you feel like you let yourself down, you feel like you're not good enough, you feel like even though you tried so hard, something just wasn't connecting, and that something must be you. And this might connect to any number of insecurities that you have in your life. Maybe you think you're not smart enough, you're not motivated enough, you didn't prioritize it enough. Whatever it is, you think that you're not enough. And so that must be why all of these language apps that are working for everybody else never work for you. So at this point in the cycle, you feel terrible, you feel hopeless, especially because you've been here before. You've been here many times before. And for some reason, you just can't get out of this spiral. So you feel bad until it fades away into your memory, and then it waits until you feel inspired and motivated again. And then you start back with step one, which is that motivation and excitement. So at this point, you are stuck with this huge hope and desire to learn a language, and you genuinely want to put the effort into it, and you genuinely do. But you have this little voice in your head that reminds you of how many times you failed and reminds you that you need to expect to fail. Because every time you fail, you are so disappointed, so your brain naturally wants to protect you from that disappointment, that failure. And so instead of being able to get off of this cycle and actually find success in your language learning, you're just stuck in the merry-go-round over and over and over and over again. So I told you that this actually is not your fault whatsoever, and it has nothing to do with you. What's the issue? The real problem is the language apps themselves. If you stumbled on this video, I'm guessing you have done a ton of research on language apps. You've gone through some rabbit holes, gone through some reviews, listened to some polyglots, decided to compare and contrast different apps. Some people prefer Anki, some people prefer UTalk, and whichever language app feels good in the moment is completely down to luck, really. Because here's the thing that people are not understanding. Language apps are not a one-size-fits-all approach. They might tell you that they are, but they're not. A language app is a tool, it's not a strategy. And this is an important differentiation because it's like if you have a toolbox with hammers and nails and screwdrivers and all the different parts of a toolbox, the app is just the hammer. and another app is the nails, and another app is the glue. And for some projects, you have the entire toolbox, right? And some projects, you don't need a hammer. You don't need the glue. Sometimes you need something completely different and you have to go down to Lowe's and grab the next tool that you need for this particular project. I want you to reframe language apps to be more like this toolbox than a one-size-fits-all approach. If I just use this app, then it'll teach me this language. Let me give you an example. Let's compare two really common apps. Let's talk about maybe Duolingo and Rosetta Stone. So Duolingo, I'm sure you've used it before, is very easy, very fun, lots of bright colors, lots of fun sounds. You do a little bit every day and that streak makes you feel really good. So do all the little vibrations and the green owl that, congratulates you, and the very, very easy question and answer, some conversation. Like, it's all very easy, but it feels good. Until you take what you learn on Duolingo and you try to apply it to a conversation and nothing comes out. Because that's not what Duolingo is built for. Duolingo is fun for motivation, for, a little bit of consistency, but it's not to be taken seriously. On the other hand, something like Rosetta Stone is really excellent for getting you having those conversations fast. Rosetta Stone is also built for total beginners, but it's not as fun and surface level and easy as Duolingo is, which, pros and cons. So for example, if you are just maintaining a language between lessons, or you want a little bit of spark of memory before a trip for a language that you're already familiar with, Duolingo could be just fine. Or if you're starting a completely new language from scratch and you really want to have conversations, Rosetta Stone might be better. If you only have 5 minutes a day, then Duolingo is probably more your ticket. If you have like 20 minutes a day, then Rosetta Stone is much more reasonable. And if you need constant notifications every single day of a green owl making you feel guilty if you don't get to your lessons on time, and that's gonna motivate you to keep going in your language learning, Duolingo might actually be perfectly fine for you. Or if you don't want those notifications and you don't want it to be so stimulating, because I personally get overstimulated, but if you don't want all of the colors and all the noises and all the distractions, then Rosetta Stone might be a better fit. These are just two examples of really common language learning apps, and neither of them are right or wrong for any particular language or any particular language learner. It really depends on who you are as a language learner, what language you're learning, what your goals are, what your learning style is, what your lifestyle looks like. There's all of these factors that go into a successful language learning strategy for any language or any phase of any language. Like, this is a very flexible, moving thing. Not take a language app and just kind of like expect it to be something that works for you perfectly from beginning to end. That's not what they're meant for, and expecting that from language apps is keeping you stuck in this horrible cycle. Now, if you're not totally convinced, you are constantly switching your language apps and strategies all the time. You try one and you give it a week, I don't know, until you either get bored, antsy, or both. It's not necessarily not working for you, but it's not working for you either. It just doesn't feel right. You're not making the progress that you're expecting to make. So you get really nervous about wasting your time with whatever app you're on any particular moment, and you start frantically searching for other apps and strategies that might potentially be the app that you're looking for. And so instead of nailing your strategy and making progress in your language learning, you are stuck cycling through every single app, every single strategy, just getting so confused and overwhelmed and frustrated, and thinking that there must be something wrong with you as a language learner, because out of all of these apps, why do none of them work? Here's a little mindset shift for you if you're in this particular situation. This pattern where you're not completely sure that anything works, and in fact it seems like nothing works, and so you keep switching your patterns, keep switching your strategies. I know it feels like failure. It is not failure. It's just information. It's data. Because of all the different apps, all the different strategies that you are trying, some of them work better for you than others. You like some of them more than you like others. And this is important information because we can use this information to mold our language training strategy into something that actually benefits you. Once you stop trying to find the perfect language app, the best language learning strategy for everybody, and you start focusing instead on your needs and your interests, then you'll actually start making progress in your language learning. Stop trying to force yourself to fit into an app, and find apps that work for you. You're the human here. You're the most important part. Apps come and go. You are what's important. So if this sounds like you and you want to get out of this cycle and you want to start making the right choices that will actually work for you in your language learning, click the link below to schedule a free call. We'll talk about your needs, your interests, and your lifestyle. Because there's nothing wrong with you, there's something wrong with how we're approaching the tools available to learn a language. And once you finally learn the approach that you need for your own unique language learning, those same apps might actually work and might actually start getting you closer to the progress you're looking for. Who knows, maybe you'll start actually getting closer to those conversations you've been trying so hard to get to. Click the link below to schedule a free call. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new one all about how to learn languages every week. Bye.